Welcome to the deep dive. So you're planning a cruise stop in Maui. That's amazing. But maybe you're wondering, how do I get around beyond the port?
Yeah, especially Kahului Harbor.
Exactly. Today, we're diving deep into renting a car, specifically for cruise passengers docking right there in Kahului. We want to cut through the noise and give you the real deal.
We've dug into a pretty insightful article full of insider tips from June 2024. Our goal here is to tackle those key questions.
Like, why even bother renting a car?
Right, and if you do, what kind of car?
And crucially, where do you pick it up and how do you actually book it without tearing your hair out?
Let's start with that first one. Why rent? The area right around Kahului Harbor.
Well, it's mostly commercial.
Yeah, not exactly picturesque strolling territory for hours on end.
And those cruise ship excursions, they're convenient, sure, but they can really add up cost-wise.
Plus, having your own wheels gives you that freedom, right? To find those little hidden beaches or viewpoints. Exactly. It lets you access those less common spots of places that aren't packed with tour buses. It's about exploring Maui on your own terms.
Okay, sold. Independent exploration it is. So what about the car itself? What should people be thinking about?
The article lays out a few options depending on what you're after. If you're dreaming of that classic Maui vibe, top down, wind in your hair.
Jeeps, convertibles?
Precisely. Just know that those are popular, so they often come with a higher price tag.
Makes sense. What about for families or bigger groups?
Then you're looking at minivans, maybe even those 12-passenger vans if you've got a whole crew.
Right.
More practical.
And for the budget-conscious traveler?
Compact or mid-size cars are usually your best bet. They get you around reliably without breaking the bank. The article apparently links to another post comparing them in more detail, but we won't get into all that now.
Got it. So you've picked your ideal car type. Now, the big one. Where and how do you actually rent it near the harbor? This sounds like where things can get tricky.
Yeah, the article points out Maui's rental market is a bit unique. It's an island. It's super popular.
Meaning limited cars, probably higher demand.
You got it. Sparse constraints, costs. It all affects availability and pricing. So you need a few pro tips to avoid frustration.
Okay, give us the tips.
Well, first, they mention using an interactive map they provide to see exactly which rental places are near the harbor. That seems like a good visual start.
Smart. Visuals help.
And they offer a phone number, 808-280-1196, if you want to call someone directly, ask questions, or book that way.
Handy for specific questions, maybe?
Definitely. Or if you prefer booking online anytime, their site is rentals.mauicarental.biz. A key thing they highlight is no prepayment.
Oh, okay.
And free cancellation. So you can book something, and if your plans shift or you find a better deal, no penalty.
Okay, that's a big plus. Flexibility is key. Now let's talk money. The bottom line. How much are we looking at?
As you'd expect, it's seasonal. Rates go up and down. And obviously, a Jeep costs more than an economy car.
Obviously. Any ballpark figure.
They give a couple of examples, like maybe $38 for a same-day economy car or $55 for a 7-passenger SUV. But, and this is important, these are just examples, not guarantees.
Right, just illustrations.
What's interesting is they suggest you might snag last-minute deals in the off-season if companies have extra cars sitting around.
Ah, the gamble.
Pretty much. But the flip side is, during peak times holidays, busy season, forget it. Prices can soar, and finding any car might be tough. They literally say it's like rolling the dice.
Okay, so planning ahead, especially for peak season, sounds non-negotiable. Let's get specific about locations near the harbor. What's within walking distance?
The article lists 3 in order of closeness. First up, Enterprise Rent-A-Car.
How close?
About half a mile. Maybe a 10-minute walk, they estimate.
Okay, that's doable. Crows.
Pro is definitely the closeness, and often off-airport spots like this have slightly lower base rates.
Cons.
The big one seems to be limited weekend hours. They mentioned it was recently closed Saturdays and only open mornings on Sundays. You absolutely have to check their current hours.
Critical info. Anything else?
And because it's a smaller satellite location, not their main airport hub, they might have fewer cars and less variety. The advice: book Enterprise way ahead.
Got it. Book ahead for Enterprise. Who's next?
Thrifty Car Rental. It's a bit further, maybe 0.8 miles, so closer to an 18-minute walk.
Okay. Still walkable for most. What's the deal there?
It's located at the Maui Seaside Hotel. This could mean potential overnight parking is available if you need it.
Oh, interesting. But probably not free.
Definitely not free. And you'd need to ask Thrifty directly about the cost and if it's even an option for rental customers when you book. Policies change.
Right. Always confirm parking details. Downsides for Thrifty.
Similar to Enterprise, Being a smaller, non-airport spot, pricing might not be the absolute best, and car selection could be limited. Again, book early.
Sensing a theme here. Book early for these walking distance places. What's the third option?
Ace Rent-A-Car. This one's the furthest of the three, about 1.2 miles, pushing a half-hour walk.
Ooh, that's getting long for a walk with luggage.
Yeah, the article even suggests maybe grabbing an Uber for that one. It's only a short ride.
Fair enough. What's the upside of Ace?
They're often positioned as a discount option, so you might find cheaper rates and maybe a slightly more straightforward booking process than the others nearby.
Okay, so potentially cheaper, but a longer walk or short ride away.
Exactly. Those are the main walking-ish distance options.
What if those don't work out? Or you need more choices?
Then the article points you towards the main Kahului Airport Rent-A-Car Center, OGG.
How far is that from the harbor?
About 2.5 miles. Definitely not walking distance, like a 55-minute walk. You need an Uber or taxi. They estimate maybe $12, $15 for that ride.
Okay, factor in that extra travel time and cost.
Yeah.
But the benefit is?
Choice. All the major players are there. Alamo, Avis, Budget, Dollar, Enterprise, Payless, Thrifty. The article says you can book all of them through their website, too.
So widest selection of cars, potentially more competitive prices because there's so many companies.
Generally, yes. More availability, more options, but there are a couple of catches.
Always catches. What are they?
Airport rentals usually have extra taxes and fees tacked on, airport fees, concession fees, all that jazz.
Ugh.
And counterintuitively, the base rate for the same car from the same company might actually be higher at the airport than at their smaller off-airport location, like that Enterprise near the harbor.
Wow. Okay, so airport isn't automatically cheaper, even before fees.
Right. So the advice is clear. Try the off-airport, near-harbor options first. Check their availability and pricing before jumping straight to the airport.
Good strategy. Did the article mention any other rental companies near the harbor?
It acknowledges they exist, like maybe other big brands they don't partner with or local Maui companies but doesn't name them. Basically competitors.
Fair enough. Let's talk logistics. Shuttles. Do any of these places offer a shuttle from the rental lot back to the cruise ship pier?
Nope. The article is very clear on this. That kind of shuttle service stopped years ago. They kind of chalk it up to shrinkflation, cost cutting. Point is, don't expect a free shuttle ride. Plan on walking or getting a taxi Uber back.
Okay, good to know. Manage expectations. What about overnight parking? If your cruise stays in Maui overnight.
This is super important. First off, you cannot park overnight at Kahului Harbor itself anymore as a cruise passenger. That space is needed for cargo.
Okay, harbor parking is out. What about nearby streets?
Strongly advised against. The article warns about urban blight, issues theft, vandalism.
Yikes, like break-ins.
Yeah, break-ins, people stealing gas, apparently even sophisticated car theft. Basically, don't leave your rental car overnight in the commercial areas near the port. Too risky.
So what are the safe, secure options for overnight parking?
Two main recommendations. One, the Maui Seaside or Maui Beach hotels. They mention a recent price around $25 a night, but that can change.
Okay, hotel parking. Option 2.
The public parking lot right at Kahului Airport, OGG. As of early 2024, that was listed at $24 per night.
So, similar price point. Secure options exist, just not right at the pier, and they cost extra.
Precisely. You need to factor that in if you have an overnight stay and plan to keep the car.
All right, let's circle back to booking. When is the absolute best time to book your car?
The article says, quote, it's complicated.
Oh, great. Uncomplicated for us.
Okay. Here's the breakdown. If you're traveling during peak season, think major holidays, summer break, winter holidays.
Book early.
Book as early as humanly possible, seriously. Demand is sky high, cars disappear, and prices will only go up the closer you get. Lock it in.
Makes total sense. What about the opposite? Low season, shoulder season.
This is where it gets interesting. In the off-season, rates might actually drop closer to your arrival date.
Really? Why?
Competition. If
Wow.
rental companies have lots of cars just sitting there, they might lower prices to entice last-minute bookings.
So it could pay to wait if it's low season.
Could, but it's still a bit of a gamble. That's why they suggest this really smart strategy.
You just
Book in advance anyway. Lock something in, especially with that free cancellation policy we talked about.
the safety net.
Exactly. Secure a car so you know you have something. Then keep checking prices. If the rate drops on their site or elsewhere.
Just cancel the old one and rebook the cheaper one.
Bingo. No penalty, no prepayment needed. They say this happens like 80% of the time where people save money by rebooking later. It's a win-win.
That's a fantastic tip. Takes the stress out of booking too early but still protects you. What about trying to book same day? Just showing up?
The article really discourages this, especially at those smaller places near the harbor.
Why? Because cruise passengers all descend at once.
Pretty much. Limited inventory meets high, concentrated demand. Your chances of just walking in and getting a car, especially the type you want, are probably slim.
So don't just wander, hopefully, from Enterprise to Thrifty to Ace if you haven't booked.
Definitely not. They explicitly say hope is not a strategy for Maui car rentals. If you are in that last-minute bind, they suggest calling around first to check availability everywhere, including the airport, rather than walking around wasting time.
Solid advice. Okay, finally, the article comes from a specific source, presumably a company involved in Maui car rentals. Why do they suggest booking through them?
Right, they make their case. They mentioned they've been doing this since 2006, so they have experience.
All right, longevity.
And they have this kind of unique setup. They offer access to their own fleet of used cars, though, interestingly, not for cruise rentals specifically, and they partner with all those big brands we listed.
Like Avis, Budget, Enterprise, etc.
Yeah, all those top-tier companies, they claim to offer special discounts and terms through these partnerships.
So they're acting like a broker or consolidator with potentially better deals.
That seems to be the idea. They push using their booking platform, rentals.mauicarental.biz, or their app for the best selection, deals, and service across all their partners.
Got it. So wrapping this all up, it sounds like renting a car for your Maui cruise stop is definitely doable and probably worthwhile if you want to explore freely.
Absolutely. It just requires a bit more planning than maybe renting a car in a big mainland city. You need to think ahead.
Key takeaways seem to be: book in advance, especially for peak times. Understand the pros and cons of the different locations near harbor versus airport.
Know about those weekend hours for the close spots, and factor in walking time or Uber costs.
And be aware of the parking situation, especially overnight. Don't rely on non-existent shuttles.
And use that rebooking strategy. Book early, then check back for price drops. It sounds like a great way to potentially save some money.
It really does. The article even teases a future post about day trip ideas you can do with the rental car, which sounds like a perfect follow-up.
Yeah, that would be useful. So overall, a little bit of homework goes a long way to making that Maui car rental smooth sailing or smooth driving.
Smooth driving indeed. It really opens up the island. So, a final thought to leave you with. Imagine you have that rental car. What hidden waterfall, secluded beach, or scenic overlook on Maui would you want to discover, away from the main crowds? Something to think about as you plan your own adventure.
Definitely food for thought. Until next time on The Deep Dive.
Happy travels.